And joining us now with more on the Iranian threat and Israel's assessment that a multi-front conflict may be on the way is ILTV correspondent and host of ILTV's Insider, Steve Liebovitz. Steve, great to have you in the studio.
I came just because I'd be with you.
So tonight, Insider focuses mainly on the Iranian threat and the prospect of a multi-front conflict with Iranian proxies in Lebanon and Gaza. What can you tell us about this?
First of all, what I can tell you is that I have great guests to talk about it today that really know their stuff, Ambassador Dani Ayalon and Colonel Miri Eisen. Israel is certainly making it seem as though we are about to be confronted with several fronts at the same time, all coordinated by Iran. That assessment meeting, the Security Cabinet meeting yesterday in Tel Aviv, had all the looks of a country that is preparing for a major operation. Worrying times, you could say, but Israel is going to be ready for all eventualities.
Okay, so now as you reported, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying that all options are on the table with regards to Iran, and yet we are seeing the White House still trying to secure a diplomatic solution so far with little success. Security experts saying that Israel and the U.S. have essentially missed the window, the opportunity to strike. So what's your take on this?
Well, Blinken was clearly reading off of a page, saying the things that AIPAC, Israel supporters, wanted to hear, namely that the military option is not off the table. I don't see it happening, mainly because Iran is so close to having the technology, to being able to put together a weapon, that I think it could be even more dangerous to try to strike them now. Because even if you hit them, and you hit them hard, they still have the technology. The technology will still exist within their computers, within the Iranian space. And therefore, you have a situation where we can almost count on the fact that they will have the capability. The question is, can they be convinced not to actually create a bomb and stay months or even years away from actually physically having a weapon?
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting assessment. So do you think that the diplomatic option is all that's left?
It seems to me that unless Israel wants to go alone, because I don't think the United States is going to jump in, and there's no guarantee that even if they jumped in and there was a military strike aimed at knocking out the nuclear capabilities of Iran, are there any guarantees that it could succeed? And if it did succeed, would it just delay things by some years or have an actual permanent impact? The only country, Lidar, that ever used a nuclear weapon, of course you know, is?
The United States.
And why did the United States use a nuclear weapon when they did?
To end World War II.
Wrong. They used a nuclear weapon when they did because no one else had one. Iran realizes that its two main enemies in the world, the United States and Israel, both have, at least according to foreign reports, huge nuclear arsenals. If they would dare to create a bomb and try to use one against one of their enemies, they would leave themselves open to total devastation.
And interesting. And so today, also, it's important to note, Iran revealed a new hypersonic missile we just heard about. Certainly isn't good news for Israel or for the United States.
We heard about the Fatah missile some months ago. We heard about a different kind of missile. I forget what they called it, the Shahab something or other, just a week ago. I reported on it. They're trotting out these different things. They want to show that they will have the capability to reach Israel with ballistic missiles. And they will. I don't know how accurate they'll be. I don't know if there are any breakthrough. They talked about 400 seconds to Israel. There's we're a little bit uncertain of the accuracy of some of their reports. But yes, they do have missile capabilities, and we certainly have to keep a close eye on it. And we have defense systems.
Well, I have to say, you sound a little bit pessimistic about the future with regards to Israel and Iran and the possibility of a multi-front conflict. What did your guests have to say?
My guests were pretty certain, I would say both of them, that Iran will have nuclear capabilities and that they can be convinced not to actually create nuclear weapons.
So they're both optimistic that international pressure will be able to convince Iran?
They think it's the only game in town that can succeed. They said it has to be a better deal than the one that existed previously with Iran. It can't be the same deal that the United States pulled out of before. but it has to be something that guarantees that they're not going to actually create weapons, and it has to be something that can be checked.
Although I have to say that Iran has been steadily progressing in its nuclear
Capabilities. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that Iran is interested.
It's a 70-year-old technology. Nuclear technology is 70 years old. Everyone has it. Even the North Koreans have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal to have the technology.
I'm saying Iran doesn't seem very interested in a deal.
They will want a deal because they want to get rid of the sanctions. Ultimately, they want a deal. They need the money, or they need access to the trade that they've been blocked from having. They'll agree if the conditions are met that are basic for them.
All right, Steve Liebovitz, thank you so much for coming in today.
Pleasure.
And don't forget to check out Insider tonight on ILTV.